Hi. Hi and good morning, everyone. How are you guys doing? I hope all of you are fine. Am I audible and visible? Good morning, Deepak. Good morning, Siri. How are you, beta? Good morning, Santosh. Fine. I'm fine. See, I'm looking fine, isn't it? I'm fine as always. Sumant, good morning. How are you, beta? Karthik, good morning, beta. How are you doing? Good morning, Goli. Let me see who I missed. Anjali, good morning. Hannah, good morning. Hannah, what were you doing in the medical class yesterday? Were they in the medical class? Why were you in the medical class? You're supposed to be in the engineering class, right? Okay. I mean, last day I actually asked for your marks and I got your marks. I think. Yes, I got your marks from the last test. And it is very disheartening to see that only 36 of you appeared for the test. Only 36. That's not good. Okay, Anas, not a problem. You got the wrong link. Only 36 of you appeared for the test. Not good. But anyways, I hope that more of you give the test and give it seriously. As I can see from this list, the highest mark is 96 out of 100 in physics. Sai, Dashak, well done, beta. That is almost a perfect score. You have attempted 24 questions and all 24 are correct. And you did not attempt one question probably. That is a great result. I mean, almost perfect. Then we have Swati. I don't talk about the low side. There are no low, there are nothing. I just wanted to call out these names so that we all get encouraged and we all work harder to get those marks. Swati, she got 90 in physics. So well done, Swati. I hope that you are liking the subject. Are you there in the class? Please raise hand if you are there in the class of the student that I am calling out their names. Veronica, Tejasvi, Shri. Well done, beta. 85. It's a very good score. Well done, Swati. Your score is really exceptional. 90 means you got two wrong. You probably attempted all the 25. You got 23 correct and you got two wrong. That is why your score is 90, I guess. Arpit. Arpit also scored 90. Same thing. 23 question 25 question he attempted and he got two wrong. So that is how you end up with a score of 90. Well, I'm very impressed with what you guys are doing. And ah, see, Yashwant, the marks don't matter. I told you in the previous class, if you get very, very good marks, you might get overconfident. I gave you my example as well that, I got overconfident with my marks and that was not good for me, for my health, actually. So don't worry. I just wanted to encourage you that all of you and most of you have done. I hardly see any bad marks. I hardly see them, starting from Arpit to Deepak to Santosh, Goli, my favorite Teja. I mean, every one of you is favorite. Teja talks a lot, that's why. To Swati, to Likita, to Vijay, to Sainath, Sai Darshak, Siri, Tejasvi, Veronica, everyone have got really good marks. And I think you are working hard on your um, studies. There are some marks which I don't find appropriate, but I hope that, and most of those names I am not aware of. So if I'm not aware of those names, that means that they are not coming into the class. If they are not coming into the class, well, you will not get marks. So whatever name I see, I don't find them in the class of those who has not got good marks, maybe because they are not attending the class, right? Again, I must keep on telling you that you must keep on working hard. Don't get overconfident with your marks. If you get overconfident with your marks, you get good marks and you get overconfident, that is a bad thing that will happen, because then you will get overconfident, and overconfidence is bad. If you are getting slightly less marks, nothing to worry about. Trust me, we have only done a very small portion of your course. The small portion of the course does not dictate how you are going to perform in the final exam. This is just a dress rehearsal, just a dress rehearsal of what is going to happen in the final exam. In the final exam, in this previous test, I only gave you one chapter. Yeah, one chapter does not decide your life. Mhm. And maybe in the final exam, you will not get any question from this chapter. So even if you score 0 or 100, as someone of you had done it, hardly matters, because if there is no question from this paper, someone who scores 0 and someone who scores 100, same. There was no question from this paper. I mean, there was no question from this topic in the final paper. So it doesn't make any difference. I hope you are getting my point. Don't get too excited. Don't get too disappointed. We are just beginning. And I've always seen there are some students who are working very hard. In the beginning, we don't see their results. Even they might get disappointed. Sir, I'm working so hard. Why I'm not getting results? Have patience. Have patience. Slowly, you will improve. And something that improves slowly, it always moves slowly, but it always reaches the top. Something that is moving very fast is bound to get a break somewhere, and then he will fall. And I don't want any one of you fall. People who are doing good, to keep on being good. Those who are not getting so-called good marks, or they think that we can do better, we can always do better. Even if someone who has scored 100 can do better, how he can do better? He can get that 100 in less time. So he is getting better. And there will be one point where he will understand that, 100, I'm getting 100, but I have to get it better and better. So sometimes we'll get that 100 in 3 hours, sometimes we'll get that 100 or 300 in 2.5 hours, then 2 hours 25 minutes, then 2 hours 20 minutes. There's always time to improve. There will not be any day where you don't have any time to improve or anywhere to improve. Even if someone who is the richest person in this world has to keep on improving, else someone else will take his place. That simple as that. So don't get disheartened. Don't get over the cloud. Stay cool. Stay happy. Keep doing what you are doing. Try to find out what mistakes you are doing. Rectify them, and we are done. On that note, let us begin today's class. What were we doing in the last class? I think we were discussing something about force, I think. Is that so? Or we were discussing Newton's law. What we were discussing? Venkatesh, tell me. You have any doubt, beta? Yes, Venkatesh, you want to speak? You can unmute yourself if you want to talk. Venkatesh, you want to say NLM? Viney is telling me NLM. Yes, Venkatesh, you wanted to ask something? No, I think he just raised hands out of curiosity. Anyway, curiosity is good. I like curiosity. Okay. I see that some of you are just getting disconnected and coming back. Harshita is saying we were discussing about force. Okay, Harshita, thanks for letting me know. I'm seeing that some people are coming into the room, leaving, coming in, leaving, coming in, leaving. It's happening because probably your network is not good, beta. The network is not good. Zoom will not allow you to come in and you will get disconnected. You'll not be able to connect to your audio and all those things. Funny things will happen. Sit at a place where you get good signal. With that, we start today's class. And then lecture 2. We are talking about Newton's laws of motion. And we started our discussion with Newton's third law of motion, I think. To every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. We started with this. Yes. And then probably I also talked about something known as FBD. Did I talk about FBD? Did I use that word FBD in your class, or was I? Yes, Vaini, thanks. So I use that word FBD in your class. That means you know what does FBD mean. FBD means, yes, Vaini, free body diagram. And we'll be drawing a lot of free body diagrams, Yashwant, from this chapter and now onwards. And remember, not so much for NEET, but for you guys, not maybe so much for mains, but for advanced. If you can do any question that comes in advance without drawing a diagram, probably that question is very simple, very simple, or you have done it wrongly. You cannot do any question in physics in JEE Advanced. I'm not talking about means. Means is pretty damn simple without drawing a diagram. And when I say diagram, I mean free body diagram. Unless you look at the forces in mechanics, or for that matter, electrostatics. If I ask you in 12th standard to tell me the electric field due to a ring at some point on the axis of the ring, if you don't draw a diagram, you will not understand anything what is going to happen in that question. Drawing diagrams is the essence of physics. And it becomes very important from this chapter. And don't get scared. The best part about these free body diagrams is, as soon as you draw them correctly, nicely, your question is solved. So question solving basically requires you to draw a diagram. And I'll prove it to you. A single mistake in the diagram and you cannot get the right answer. You cannot get the right answer. Even if some force is like this and you have just drawn it wrongly like this, mistakenly, and you are done. Khatam. Finish. Kalas. So be very attentive about this free body diagrams. I hope you are getting my, I sent it on a Telegram group. I send you this PDF. Keep on writing your notes. I hope you are writing your notes as well. Keep on writing your notes. And I hope you are getting the lectures in time that you can see those lectures. And if there is something that is missing, they can ask me. I was on free body diagrams. I was on action reaction force. Now, in this free body diagrams, what we are going to do is we are going to isolate these bodies, make them free. Make them free means get them apart from everyone else, isolate them, make them single, isolate them, and then draw their diagrams showing all the forces. Now, in the previous class, I gave you an assignment of telling me what those forces are. No one was interested in doing it. Anyways, doesn't matter. It was not a task related to your curriculum. I just wanted you to find out about those forces and let me know what you think about them. Anyway, you can do it some other day. We talked about some fundamental forces in nature. Now we have to understand these fundamental forces in nature. Basically, two of them are of prime importance to us because we will be using those forces in this chapter and the chapters that are coming ahead. The first of these fundamental forces in nature, anyone knows what is the first fundamental force in nature? Why we call it first? Because that is the one we discovered first of all. And there's a famous saying or a famous story when some gentleman was sitting underneath an apple tree and that apple fell and it started gravity. And this famous company Apple is actually that based on that apple that actually fell on ground, and that bite on that apple is the bite that Sir Isaac Newton took for that apple. Fictitious story maybe, not exactly what happened, but yeah, it so happened that he was in a university. I forgot the name of the university, and there was a big strike in that university, and there was no one. And Sir Isaac was alone, and he was wondering and thinking, and all of a sudden, Eureka movement happened, and he clicked it. The first of these forces is known as gravitational force. The first of the basic forces in nature is known as gravitational force. Now, can I have some discussion on this force? What is this gravitational force? What is this gravitational force, which Sir Isaac Newton has explained very nicely? Sir Albert Einstein might not agree with him, but right now we are not studying Albert Einstein, we are studying Sir Isaac Newton. Gravitational force. What is this gravitational force? This is the most fundamental force in nature. And you will be very astonished to find that this is the weakest force in nature also. This is the weakest of the forces in nature. Gravitational force is the weakest force in nature. That is the first thing that I want to emphasize on, and that is why I've written it. You'll say, weakest, sir. You must be wrong, sir. It cannot be the weakest. See, sir, so big, moon is such big a planet or a satellite, natural satellite. It is moving around Earth because of gravitational force, and you are calling it weak, sir. Not fair, sir. This is not done. No, sir, forget about sun. Forget about moon, sir. Earth so big, sir. It is moving around sun because of this gravitational force, and you are calling it weakest. You must be wrong, sir. It cannot be correct. That gravitational force cannot be the weakest force, but in fact, it is the weakest force in nature. Electrostatic force is more strong than that, and we'll come to those forces. But let us talk about the first fundamental force in nature, which is gravitational force. Now, you must be aware of this force. I have told you that this is the weakest force, just to add to that trivia. Because if I add some trivia, that this is the weakest force, and that might excite you. Oh, weakest force? Sun moving around, Earth moving around sun, weakest force? No, it cannot be the weakest. Something is wrong, or something we are missing. Gravitational force. Now, how does this gravitational force come into the picture? Why does anyone experience gravitational force? Or why does anyone exert gravitational force? Can you have your thoughts, please? Why this gravitational force comes into existence? What brings it into existence? How this gravitational force come into existence? What gets this gravitational force into existence? Anyone would like to tell me? Observation. And that says observation. I don't understand the meaning of observation. Now, if any body in this universe has mass, then what will happen to that body? If anything has mass, it is going to attract what? Not towards Earth. It could be any mass. It could be mass of a planet. It could be mass of an apple. If there are any two bodies in this universe that have mass, for example, if I call the first body as M1, and if I call the second body as M2, and they are separated by a distance of R, M1 and M2 are separated by a distance of R. Sir Isaac Newton found out that they exert forces on each other. And he called that force as the gravitational force. And he found out a formula for that gravitational force, G into M1 into M2 divided by R square, where R is the distance between them, and G is a constant which was found later on. The value of this gravitational constant is found later on. And as you can see here, it is 6.67 into 10 to the power minus 11 Newton meter square per kg square. We have already found its units and dimension in the first chapter. This is the value, 6.67 into 10 to the power minus 11 Newton meter square per kg square. That is what he found out. So why does this gravitational force come into existence? If any body has mass, it can exert or experience force due to other mass. So gravitational force comes because of your mass. If you have mass, well, you are eligible for experiencing and exerting gravitational force. You must congratulate yourself that you have mass. So now you can exert gravitational force on other bodies, whether it's Earth or Moon or Sun or whatever damn thing in the universe. You can exert gravitational force on everything. Do we understand this? So gravitational force comes because of mass. Two masses, one mass. Any body which has mass can experience this gravitational force. Do we understand this? Can I have some raise hand that we understand this, sir? Starting from Sai Darshak, Shashank, Jayashankar, Vikas, Venkatesh, Triveni, Harshita, Sri, Sinde, Siddharth, Sana, Rakesh, Rahul, Padmakant, Veronica, Vyaju, Ganesh, Dinesh, Praveen, Jogeshwar, Karthik, Shashank, Josna, Jagdish, Hanak, Swati, Satvika, Suman, Sai Tarun, Manasa, Maruti, all. I hope everyone is there. Great. If you have mass, you are eligible for experiencing or exerting gravitational force. It is the weakest force in nature. And it is always attractive. We are not going to go much into what this gravitational force is like because there is a separate chapter for that, gravitation. We'll do that in gravitation. Right now, what is important to us is this formula. Even this is not important to us. Now, this formula we'll be using in the chapter called gravitation. Right now, what we are going to do, as I told you that we are going to separate these bodies from each other and we are going to draw their free body diagram. I probably draw a free body diagram in the last class. Does anyone remember I drew a free body diagram in the last class? If you don't remember, we can draw it again. Don't worry. Let us say, for example, this is a floor and there is a mass kept on this floor. Now, the mass of this body is m. Now, the first task that we would have is to draw the free body diagram of this body, this mass. To draw the free body diagram, we have to understand what all forces are acting on it. And right now, we get into the time of Sir Isaac Newton. The only force we know is gravitational force. So we are only concerned with gravitation. So now I have to draw the gravitational force on this body. So the gravitational force on this body is given by this formula. F is equal to G, which is gravitational constant, multiplied by capital M. If capital M is the mass of Earth into small m, the small m is the mass of this body divided by r square, where r happens to be the radius of Earth. This is the actual gravitational force acting on this body. Or this apple, this famous apple that fell, and that this people in America caught it and ate it and made a company out of it. That is the force, the actual gravitational force acting on this body. But as I told you, we are not going to use this. We are going to use this only in the chapter called gravitation. Then what are we going to use in place of this? In place of this, we are simply going to use this. That whenever I see a body, you will draw a force which is vertically downwards, mg. Where g is our old friend coming from first chapter and second chapter. Acceleration due to gravity. Now, what is this gravity? Earth, our mother planet Earth, will exert gravitational force on all the smaller bodies like us or this apple which is falling. Someone ate it. Earth exerts gravitational force on all the smaller bodies. Instead of calling it gravitational force of Earth, gravity is used. So whenever someone uses the term gravity, gravity stands for gravitational force of Earth. Acceleration due to gravity stands for acceleration that comes because of gravitational force of Earth. Or acceleration because of gravity is known as acceleration due to gravity, and gravity is the gravitational force exerted by Earth. Am I clear with this small nomenclature? In chemistry, you have nomenclature in, I think, organic chemistry that you name this thing. So this is how you name it. Yes, Archita. G is acceleration due to gravity. When I multiply it by mass, mg, now this mg might ring a bell in your brain. Mg, we call it the weight of the body, right? Sai, don't do this. We call it the weight of the body. Please rub your drawing else I will not be able to continue further. I'll have to change my screen and all that. Don't know why you do this, sir. That thing goes away. Just give me a moment. I have to rub it out. So stupid. Don't write on the board like this. It's very difficult for me to rub it. Okay. Now this mg, as I was saying, is the weight of the body. So basically the first force that you are going to draw always is going to be the weight of this body, which will always act vertically downwards, because this weight is because of gravitational force of earth. It is because of acceleration due to gravity, and acceleration due to gravity is always downward. So the first force that you will draw in a free body diagram of any body that you isolate would be the gravitational force, which is equal to the weight, which is equal to mg. Do we understand this? This is the first force that we are going to draw. That will be given as mg, and it will be always vertically downwards. Can I have some raise hand that we understand this? I'm lowering all hands. Can you have the raise hands again? Starting with okay, only 7, only 8. What about the others? Sai, both sides, Darshak and Sarth and Shada, Shashank, Kevin, Vikas, Venkatesh, Triveni, Sinde, Siddharth, Padmakar, Veronica, Ganesh, Ganesh, Yogeshwar. That is the first four that we are going to draw MG. What you will say, sir, if the force is G, capital M, small m by R square, and you are writing it MG, are we missing something here? I told you that actual force is this, but now I'm writing it like this. That means either I'm doing it wrongly, or there is something that is very wonderful that we can understand from these two things if they are same. If these two forces are same, what inference can we draw? What result can we find out? Now this result we'll find out in the chapter called gravitation. But now if you can understand it, you can tell me, sir, if these two forces are same, then this will be the result. Can anyone tell me what is the result that I'm looking at? Assuming that I know something about physics, and I tell you that these two equations are same, I call this as equation number 1, if I call this as equation number 2, and I tell you that these two equations are same, can anyone tell me what is the result I'm expecting? And Goli has given me the result. Both are same, so this force gmm by r square should be equal to mg. M say m getting cancelled. We get the value of our old friend, acceleration due to gravity. And this is the value of, this is how you can calculate acceleration due to gravity for Earth or any damn planet in this universe, or any star or anything, or even a black hole. G is the gravitational constant. M will be the mass of the planet. If you want to calculate for Earth, put the mass of Earth. You can find it. I don't remember it. How much is that? Put the radius of Earth. I think it is 6,400 kilometers. Put it in meters. Put the values. Get your answer. And you will be very astonished to see that approximately you will end up at 9.8. So this is how things relate. This is how they come together in physics. A chapter that is going to come after a long time can be related now. Do we understand this? So this is the first force that we are going to draw for any body, any free body diagram. This is the first thing that we are going to do. We'll draw the weakest force first. You might have seen this. I was looking at this. There was a herd of animals moving. You know how this herd of the animals move? The leader moves at the first. Leader is the strongest of those. And the other strong members of the herd, they're always at the back. And the weakest are always in between, because we have to always save the weakest. But here, we are going to do the weakest first. The weakest force will be drawn first. That will be gravitational force. That is the first force in nature that we discovered. Don't have to go into all this because we are not going to need this. This is what I was looking for. Do you understand what is written here? Do you understand what is written here? They have given us the value of how to calculate the value of G for any planet. The value of small g for any planet will be Gm by r squared. Now, the second basic force in nature that we discovered was electromagnetic force. Now, basically, this consists of two parts: electro or electric force and magnetic. Now, previously, not very long ago, about 100 years back in the past, we used to think that electroforce or electrostatic force or electric force, which is the force between two charges, positive, negative, positive, positive, doesn't matter. And magnetic force, which you basically think as force between two poles of a magnet, they were different. They were different. But then came a scientist, Maxwell, and he told us that these are not different. They are part of the same clan. They are like brothers. Not even cousins, they are brothers. So we combine them and we call them electromagnetic force. Force between two charge or force between two magnets, they are same. They come from the same phenomena. Now, what the scientists are working on, they are saying four forces of nature. No, God will not create four different phenomena for creating these forces in nature. God, if there is any God, who is God, we'll discuss that thing later. If there is a God and he creates some forces, he will not create four different forces. He will just create one phenomena, and from that one phenomena, all these forces should originate. And this is what physicists are working on. They call it the string theory or theory of everything. One theory that explains everything. One theory will explain how gravitational force works. The same theory will explain how electromagnetic force works. The same theory will explain how the third strong nuclear force works. The same theory will explain how the weak nuclear force works. Now we have four different theories of explaining the four different forces that we find in nature. But now scientists are saying, no, God will only make one, only one. Maybe in your lifetime, may not be in mine, but you would be seeing that theory come into the picture, and then maybe if I'm alive 80, 90 years old, maybe I don't want to live that much. But then probably some of you would be telling me, sir, what you told us was not correct. That was your age. Four different forces. Yes, there's only one string. String vibrates and everything happens. Electromagnetic force. Combination of electric and magnetic. It can be attractive or repulsive. It can act over large distances. We don't have to get into the basics of this. That will be done in 12th standard. What we are more concerned is, how do we see these electromagnetic forces, apart from force between two charges or force between two magnets, come to us in different forms? What is this, sir? What? Electromagnetic force in different forms? What? It is like an actor that, in one movie, he is Vijay Dinanath Chauhan, in another movie, is that Shah Rukh Khan character, Rahul or Raj or whatever. How it can come in different packages? Now look at this line very carefully. All the macroscopic forces, macroscopic means bigger forces, forces that can be experienced, that can be seen. Micro means chota, macro means bada. All bada means big, macro means big. All the forces that you can see, experience. All the macroscopic forces that you see, except for gravitation. Except for gravitation, all the big forces that you see, which we experience as push or pull or by contact, are electromagnetic. See, there are four forces that we have to discuss. Number one is gravitation. Number two is electromagnetic. Number three is strong nuclear. And number four is weak nuclear. Now, this strong nuclear and weak nuclear, strong nuclear is the strongest force. We will not discuss much about them. The strong nuclear and weak nuclear are forces which are inside the nucleus. Very strong nuclear force is the strongest force, but they are very short range forces. They only have their effect inside the nucleus. and hence you don't see them in real life. You hardly see them in your real life. Strong nuclear force you might have seen in your real life when nucleus explodes. Nucleus does not explode. When nucleus breaks, it gives out immense amount of energy. That was the energy that was used to drop that bomb in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. The atom bomb, the nuclear bomb, was because of splitting of a nucleus. That is strong nuclear force. So probably you have seen strong nuclear force in that category. Definitely not seen weak nuclear force. This is in some sort of radiation. It gets too difficult for you to understand it at this stage. So basically, what the forces you experience in your day-to-day life, you don't see a nuclear explosion happening every day. If that would have happened, we would not have lived by now. Whatever forces you see in day-to-day life, except for gravitation, except for this pen or apple falling down, which is gravitation, all forces almost are electromagnetic. Example, tension in a rope. What is tension in a rope? Just tie a stone or a bob or a heavy mass to a string, and you can see that string is holding it. The string becomes tight. If the string is not there, the bob will fall because of gravity. But string holds it. That means string is exerting a force on this bob. That is tension in a string. What type of force is tension in a string? It is electromagnetic. Muscular force, force in your muscles, electromagnetic. Force experienced by a deformed spring. You have spring, you press it, compress it, leave it. You have some energy coming out. You have a force that you experience. That is electromagnetic. That means all the forces that you see apart from gravity or gravitation are all electromagnetic in nature. And these are the forces that we'll be using in this chapter. The third one, which is the nuclear force, I call it strong nuclear force. We'll be dealing at the end of our course in 12th standard. Same with this one. One is strong nuclear, the other one is weak nuclear. All these forces will come at the end of your course in modern physics in 12th standard. Electromagnetic force will come in 12th standard, force on charge and force between two magnets. But the different forms in which it appears is going to come now, right now in this chapter and from chapters here on. Now what we are going to do is to understand in how many different ways this electromagnetic force comes into our day-to-day life and how we can use our understanding of our forces to understand what these forces do. Am I clear that all of the forces that you see are coming from this electromagnetic? Can I have some reason that we understand this? Only 3 people have understood this? What about Sai Sarda, Sai Darshak, Shashank, Kevin, Manasa, Vikas, Venkatesh, Harshita, Suren, Siddharth, Sana, Padmakant, Veronica, Ganesh, Janesh, Jageshwar, Sainath, Likita, Kore, Karthik, Shashank, Josana, Jayashankar, Jagdish, Suman, Charita, Sai Tarun. We're all there. Okay. Now we'll try to study in details. We have studied the gravitational force, not in details. I told you this is something known as, I call it need to know basis. What do you mean by need to know? I will only tell you things that you should know at this stage. I'll only tell you those things that you should know at this stage. And when times come for us to understand gravitation, we'll understand gravitation also. Right now, what we are concerned is whenever you see gravitational force, we have to draw gravitational force. We'll just draw the block. Mass is m. We'll just draw the weight mg and say bye-bye. This is all that we need to know about gravitation at this point. Okay. The second one, as I already told you, is electromagnetic forces and The actual electromagnetic force we'll study in class 12. What we are going to do is to see in what ways it appears in our day-to-day life. And the first way in which it appears is very near to you. You are doing it right now. Contact force. Contact force. We call it contact force. Now, what is this contact force? Anyone has heard of this name, contact force? Do you know this word or this force, contact force? As you can see, physics is very simple. If the name is contact force, it has to got something to do with contact. What it might have got to do with contact? Anyone? Deepak has heard about it. Deepak, can you unmute yourself and tell me what you know about this contact force? Or no, Deepak has lowered his hand. Teja, would you like to tell me? Unmute yourself. Tell me what is this contact force? No one? No one would like to tell me what is this contact force? Anyone from this? No one? Sai, Sarda, Sai Darshak, Shashank, anyone can tell me anything about this contact force? Tejasvi, Harshita, Siri, Siddharth, Sana, Rahul, Padmakant, Veronica, anyone? What is this? What could be this contact force? What do you think this could be this contact force? Okay, probably you don't know. Now, maybe you are shy to tell what it is. Sir, if it is contact force, it has to do something with contact. What will it do with contact? When two bodies are brought into contact with each other, yes, Suri, welcome to the class. When two bodies they are brought into contact with each other, they will exert forces on each other. That force is known as your contact force. How do you know that they are exerting forces on each other? Very simple thing will tell you. Suppose this is any force that requires contact with each other, yeah, you can call it. Whenever two bodies are kept in contact, if this is a surface and I keep this bottle on this surface. Now, if there is no surface, this bottle will fall because Earth, the gravity will pull it down. But as soon as I put this surface, this bottle does not fall. Even though Earth is trying to pull it, when I kept it on the surface, it does not fall. That means there must be some force which is trying to stop it. And what do we call this force? We call this force as the contact force. Do we understand it? Whenever two bodies are kept in contact, they exert forces on each other. That force is known as contact force. Let me now draw it in the form of an example. Let me assume that this is some surface or body, surface or ground. There is one body whose mass is m and it is moving with a velocity v. Now, the other name of this contact force is also reaction force. Now, this word reaction we'll be using again and again. So don't get confused when I use reaction. There is one reaction which is every action has an equal and opposite reaction. That is also called as reaction. This contact force is also known as reaction force. So don't get confused. Same word can have different meanings at different places. So this block of mass m is moving with a velocity v. So we'll say that why you have to move it with a velocity v? Because I have to make a point here. That is why. Now, this surface, this is the surface, and this is the body of mass m kept on this surface, and it is moving. So they are in contact. So they will exert forces on each other. That force will be known as contact force or reaction force. Now, with experience and knowledge, I can tell you that this reaction force, since I'm going to call it as R, this reaction force will be something like this. Now, this R or reaction force is the force exerted by what on what? Force exerted by ground, yes, on the body of mass M. Do we understand this? This is the force exerted by ground on M. Do we understand this? Can I have some reason that this is the force exerted by ground on M? You must understand that we are going to draw free body diagram, and it has become very essential for us to understand which force is exerted by whom. Now, if I draw the ulta of this, say what ulta, sir? If I draw this force, and I also call it R, I'm just calling them by the same name. One is the pinkish color. I don't know what color is this. Whatever color is this, the upper wala. One is that pinkish color wala R, and the other one is definitely red wala R. What is red wala R and how it is different from the other R? The red wala R, which is downwards, I have drawn. The other color wala R, which is drawn like this. What is the difference? What color is this? Can you even tell me? What color is this? I really don't know the name of this color. So, what is the difference between the two R's? Purple. Okay, Goli, thanks. Purple. So, what's the difference between the purple R and the red R? Color difference. No, not color. What is the basic difference that I want to understand in terms of physics? This purple R is the force exerted by ground on M. Then what is this red R? This red R is the this red R is the force exerted by anyone? Force exerted by object M on ground. Remember, this red R and purple R are a pair of action reaction forces. Yes, Jay Shankar, that is correct. Action reaction. So, as Goli told me that this color is purple. So, if this purple R, if I call as action, this red R becomes my reaction. But remember, reaction here has a different meaning than this reaction. Do you understand now? Reaction there is said in a different way, and the reaction here is said in a different way. Do you understand this? So, if anyone tells me to draw the FBD free body diagram of this block M, which R should I draw? The red R should I draw, or the purple, the color that I now know, purple, the purple R should I draw? Yes, Hannah, I must draw the purple R. If I have to draw the free body diagram of the block, I have to draw the purple R. If I have to draw the free body diagram of ground, I have to draw the red R. You must remember that. Okay. Now this purple R can be further, it is going in this direction. So I can now resolve it into two components. One component, it is perpendicular to the two bodies, known as N. And the other component is parallel to the two bodies, known as F. Please listen to me very carefully. This contact force R can be resolved into two components. One is perpendicular to the two bodies, known as N. Since it is perpendicular to the two bodies, N means normal. Normal means perpendicular. So this is known as normal reaction or normal contact force. Do we understand this? The name of this N is normal reaction or normal contact force. Do we understand this? Can I have some reason? Just so that we understand this. This N is the normal reaction or normal contact force. The name suggests everything. There is no hidden secret here. That my name is this and my work is this. There is no hidden secret. That my name is Vijay Dinanath Chauhan and I am the most gentle person in this planet. Vijay Dinanath Chauhan was a don, so he remains a don. Good don or a bad don doesn't matter. Normal reaction and normal reaction force perpendicular to the two bodies. And Hannah has come up with the answer which I was supposed to ask you the question for. What is this F, which is the parallel component, which is parallel to the two bodies known as? And Hannah has already given me the answer. So I'm looking for some other answer. I'm looking to see how many of you know this know this parallel component. Jayashankar has given me answer with Jayashankar, yeah, it is a force, but it has a name. Every force has a name. Gravitation force, contact force, normal reaction force, tension in the string, spring force. What is the name of this force? Anyone? Please raise hands of all people who know the name of this F, who know what is this F. Praveen, Hannah has raised their hands. Jayashankar has also raised his hand. I'll give the Rahul has also raised his hand. So I'll give chance to someone who has not spoken up till now. Anjali. Anjali, can you unmute yourself and tell me what is this F? Anjali, can you repeat again?
Friction, sir.
Yes, friction, sir. Yes, Anjali, friction, sir. It is friction. It is known as, oh, I used the wrong pen. I should have used this one. This F is the friction force. And this friction force, and you must never forget, both friction and normal reaction are same forces coming from the same force. This friction is the parallel component. This friction is the parallel component of contact force or reaction force. This is the parallel component of R. And this N is the perpendicular component of R. Would you remember this, all of you? Can I have raised hands? Yes, sir. We'll remember this. We'll never forget this. Friction is the parallel component of R, which is the contact force or reaction force. Normal reaction force or N will be the perpendicular component of reaction R, because this will save your souls in a lot of cases. I'm not getting enough participation, so I must start. Sai, both Sais, Darshak and Sarda, Shashank, Kevin, Mansa, Vikas, Venkatesh, Triveni, Harshita, Surendra, Sinde, Siddharth, Padmakan, Ganesh, Dinesh, Praveen, Likita, Kartik, Shashank, Josna, Jayashankar, Jagdish, Sumant, Charit, Venu, where are you? Maruti. Okay. Now, once we are dealing with this contact force, which is a type of electromagnetic force, we want to do simple things first. By simple things first, man, this is the first time that we are hearing these forces, contact forces. So, keep things simple. What we'll do in the very beginning, we'll assume that there is no friction. Friction is absent. So, if friction is absent, this means this track together with the mass is smooth. But instead of calling it smooth, sometimes it may be called as frictionless. Instead of calling it smooth, you can also call it frictionless. Now, as soon as this block and this ground become frictionless, friction disappears. Now, if friction disappears, the reaction force which was going in this direction because of this friction, and that is why I made it move, because I wanted to draw friction. The reaction force which was like this, now it cannot go like this because it does not have any parallel component. So now it only has perpendicular component. Do we understand this? That this reaction force which had a parallel component, that parallel component has been taken out of the picture. It is no longer in this movie, taken out. We'll come in part 2, Avatar part 2. This is Avatar part 1 with no friction. Avatar part 1, no friction. So this reaction force which was going like this, oh, what have I done? So this reaction force which was going like this does not go like this. So I will not draw this reaction force, because instead of calling it the reaction force, I'll just call it normal reaction force, because it is the only component of this force which is existing right now in Avatar part 1, because friction has been taken out. Do we understand this? That whenever from now up till the time when friction comes, Avatar part 2, the contact force will not be drawn like this as R, but now it will be drawn just like this, perpendicular to the two bodies, and we'll call it N. Do we understand this? You can call it R also, But now we'll understand that we'll only draw the perpendicular component and we will not draw the parallel component. And this component will always remain perpendicular to the surfaces which are in contact. You understand this? Now is the time that we put what we have learned to some use. For example, if I just put the simplest of example in front of you, there is a block of mass M kept on ground. Draw the FBD. And the simplest question is going to change your life forever. So for the first time in your life, you are going to draw FBD and you are going to be a fan of this FBD. And you'll understand the importance of FBD and your life will become simple. Draw the FBD of this free body diagram. How do you draw it? Anyone would like to help me in drawing this? So I'll lower all your hands. Anyone would like to help me in drawing this so that we can finish our class on this one? After drawing this diagram, the free body diagram of this one. Who will help me in drawing this? Can you raise hands? No one? Maruti, Venu, Anjali, no one? Sai, Shashank, Kevin, Vahini, Hannah, Teja, Sai Tarun. No one can help me? Sumant, Satvika, Goli, Jayashankar, Josana, Likita, Sainath, Yogeshwar, Praveen, Padmakan, Rahul, Sana. There is no right answer, there is no wrong answer. Siri, Harshita, Tejasvi, Venkatesh, Vikas. No one can help me in drawing this diagram. Okay, and I'll do. See, if no one helps me, I'll have to help myself. There is a famous poem of Sir Rabindranath Tagore, Ekla Chalo Re. It's in Bengali. Ekla Chalo Re means just move ahead. If no one helps you, you have to do it on your own. You have to do things, you have to take matters in your own hand and solve it. So it's none of my students are doing it. I will have to do it. So I'll draw the free body diagram here. How do I draw it? I draw the first, the weakest force, my favorite force that makes moon move around sun, moon move around sun, moon move around earth, earth move around sun. So effectively moon is moving around sun. And that is mg downwards. This is the free body diagram of M I'm drawing. mg is downward. Something must stop it. As you can see, it is stopping it, else it will just go down. It is kept on a surface. The surface is in contact with block of mass M. So the surface will exert a force on block of mass M. It will be perpendicular. So it goes like this. I can call it anything X, Y, Z. Just remember this is normal contact force. I don't want to complicate my life. I'll just write it as N. And that is my free body diagram. Drawing mg and N, and we are done. And this question is solved. That is how we are going to solve questions from now onwards. The first and the most important and the only thing that you've got to do correctly is to draw this thing. Looking for some small, simple things, and we are done. No, Anna, you don't find any place without friction. You can create a very smooth surface, but still that will have friction. It's a fictitious concept of frictionless surface, but it is just making your life simpler to solve questions, nothing else. So on that note, we will wind up today's class and dismiss today's class. The next class we will be discussing more about these contact forces. Sir, front V, I don't understand. We'll discuss more about these contact forces, these normal reaction forces in the next class. We'll be drawing a lot of FBDs, so that velocity. No, you don't have to need. I don't need the velocity to draw forces. There may be velocity, there may not be velocity. Having a velocity or not having a velocity does not affect whether you have a force or not. You can have a force, still have a velocity. You cannot have a force, still have a velocity. You can have force and velocity, doesn't matter. Okay. So I leave on this note. Suri, you did not come in the class at time. You are, I think, 45 minutes late. I told you that you should work hard, and if you're coming 45 minutes late in the class, you cannot work hard better. So try to improve on it. You can always improve. I told you can always improve. Even if you get 100, you can get 100 in less time. You can always improve. Okay. On that note, I'll wind up this class. We'll meet day after tomorrow in the next class. Bye, everyone. I hope you all love this class, and I'll see you in the next one. And I hope that more people participate in the class from next class. Okay, so no, not a problem. You can work on your connection. Okay, beta. Chalo, bye. I need to go for the next one. Take care.